Okay, we're going to go over a half-kneeling hip flexor stretch utilizing some contractions to facilitate more relaxation through the hip flexors, the muscles on the front of the hip. So to do this, we're going to need a high box. This could be a desk, it could be a chair, it can even be 2 PVC pipes to drive down through. So we're going to have our hands in the box, half-kneeling position, knee directly under the hip. Now from here, we're going to tuck the pelvis under, squeeze the glute, so think belt buckle to belly button. And if you're not feeling a stretch, then you need to extend this hip a little bit more. Okay, so re-tuck the pelvis. You should feel a strong lengthening already in the front of the hip here. Now contraction 1, we're going to contract the muscles we're trying to stretch, which is the muscles on the front of the hip. So the hip flexors, they flex the hip. They bring the knee toward the chest. So we're going to drive that contraction while we're at our end range. So to counteract that, we're going to push the hands into the box and think about driving the knee forward toward the box into the ground. Now it's an isometric, so you're not going to move. So we're going to perform this for about 10 seconds. So I'm driving down, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, relax. Now the second contraction is trying to posteriorly tilt the pelvis even more, so tucking the pelvis under even more, getting the abs engaged, and then trying to lift the foot off the ground. Okay? The foot shouldn't lift off the ground. I want you to be at your end range enough so that the foot doesn't actually lift. So for me, I have to get this deep into the lunge. The foot can lift slightly, but it shouldn't lift super high because that's telling me you're not truly at your end range of the stretch. Okay, so we're going to hold that contraction, attempting to lift the foot off the ground while also trying to lift the knee off the ground. So it's almost like we're trying to do something like this. Okay? This is going to activate the opposite muscles, the hamstrings and the glutes, which is going to reflexively relax the muscles on the front of the hip. So you're going to perform these contractions for about 2 to 3 cycles. So let's go over it one more time. So I'm in my deep stretch. For me, this is here. If you're a beginner with this, maybe it's just here for you. We're tucking the pelvis under. Okay, so just that posterior tilt of the pelvis is all we need to find a good hip stretch if you're new to this. Contraction 1, driving the hands into the box. Think about pulling the knee forward. 10 seconds. It's almost like we're trying to do a crunch while bringing the knee toward the head. Isometric here. Okay, so 10 seconds. Relax that contraction. Move the hip forward more toward the box. And then try to lift the foot off the ground without losing this hip extension. And then back on. And then we're going to repeat that 2 more times. When you repeat the contractions, don't come out of the stretch. Okay, so we don't want to see this. Contract. Contract the other side. And then relax, fiddle around, and then get back into it. We want to stay in our deepest position. After every contraction, we're getting lower and lower. Okay, so we're moving the hip more toward this box each contraction. So perform 2 to 3 cycles and stand up afterwards. Your hip should feel much more open.